took me long enough. Hey guys, Little for Life here, bringing you guys a brand new video, and today I got a little review on Arc V. So, oh boy, I don't even know where to start with this, okay? It's been how many years since Arc V ended, and I still don't know exactly how to formulate my thoughts on it, okay? Arc V started off amazing. I'm going to be 100% honest. I know, like, a lot of people were joking on it, saying it was just bad. It was GX all over again, the first few episodes. And then, like, once it got to a certain point, it clicked. Like, it was so good. And it started off really good. It was building that character. It was building that emotion. It was building up to something. And then what it ended up building up to was a complete and total letdown. Was a complete and total waste. You know, I have never seen a series go from being good, from having so much potential, to having a really good story and characters, and then throwing it all to waste. This series just destroyed me. That's why I have not been wanting to talk about it for so long, and then I'm reorganizing my anime collection. I'm like, wow, I still haven't talked about this garbage. Okay, so firstly, I want to tell you guys something that not like everybody knew back then, because like not everybody pays attention to anime news, but Arc V went through a crap ton of issues as it was going through production and everything. These production issues was mainly in regards to the story and the direction it wanted to be taken, which then caused them to prolong an arc for way too long, shorten an arc from like being an actual arc to being like 2 episodes, and then rush through the ending. And then on top of that, give us one of the most garbage endings I have ever seen in an anime. You know, I get it. It's a kid's anime. It's supposed to have a happy ending and everything, and I get that. But they play it off way too cheerfully, even though like half the cast is dead by the end of the series. And you know, I don't even care about spoilers that much, because I need to rant about this, and this is a like 3-year-old series at this point. We 7's just started. We're on episode 3 now. I have not watched it yet. I will get to it eventually. Same thing with Reigns. I have not watched past episode 12 of Reigns. I really want to eventually, because I heard Reigns actually stays good throughout most of it. So, okay, let's kind of recoup and go back. What is Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V? Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V is the 5th Yu-Gi-Oh! series to be produced, not counting Yu-Gi-Oh! 0. If you want to count 0, it's, what, number 6? Something like that. Anyway, so, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V follows Yuya Sakaki as he basically tries, he's a duelist. He wants to live up to his dad's legacy, who mysteriously disappeared, like 10 years before he started a series, and then things start happening, weird shenanigans continue, dimensional jumps happen, and oh hey, there's dimensions focused on a single summoning mechanic each one, and the fusion dimensions trying to take over every dimension, and it gets really convoluted really fast, but it makes sense in the long run because it actually somehow works. I would say like the first half of this show is really good, okay? It's up until about halfway through the Synchro arc. Actually, no, wait. I would say it's up until the end of the Synchro Dimension arc, because the Synchro Dimension arc, even though it ended up getting prolonged for way too long and it just overstayed its welcome and everything, it was still good all the way through. It's at the end of the Synchro arc where things start getting bad. Actually, and some would even argue that it was before the Synchro arc or during the Synchro arc, but it's all around that area. So, basically, this series decided to just throw out like half of its cast. God, I don't even know where to go with this. Okay, I'm trying to do this live because I don't like editing and I suck at it and everything. But guys, I'm not joking when I say this. I have tried recording this like a million times over. I have my thoughts written out on a little paper down here. This series is just so what the hell happened to it that I can't think straight with it. You know, it's nuts. I loved this series from the get-go. This is my first Yu-Gi-Oh anime that I was watching as it was airing in Japan in the sub. Okay? I never have seen any of the Yu-Gi-Oh series in a sub, in the Japanese sub. You know, Japanese dub with English subtitles. That's what I mean for those who don't know. Okay? Before. Okay? This is my first one. I watched Reigns as well, and I'm probably going to stick with Reigns whenever I go back to it in the Japanese dub. So this series was special to me because I got to see Yu-Gi-Oh as it is meant to be for the first time. You know, as much as I love the original Yu-Gi-Oh, as much as I love GX, as much as I love 5Ds, as much as I tolerate Zexal, those series were, you know, changed when being brought over here into the West. And Arc V is no different. It faced a lot of stupid censorship. It got a lot of stupid name changes like Yuzu to Zuzu. What? Or Ruri into Lulu. Shun into Shave. Shun is an actual, like, name, too, that, like, I'm pretty sure American kids will understand. Especially since Bakugan has a character named Shun and still the dub. But, I digress. Let's not talk about the dub, because honestly, I tried to watch the dub. This is the dub. I think it might have the sub on it too, but it's primarily the dub. I bought this for like $20 at an anime convention a few years back before the series was done, and I thought it was still going to be good, but nope. So, the series starts off pretty good. Yugioh goes through tournaments, he grows as a character. The pendulum mechanic is introduced in the first episode, and it's really cool. The animation at times of the series is really good. Even the CGI monsters, when they can be stiff, is not half bad looking. Okay? Like, I know people like to make fun of Odd Eyes running on the road and how goofy it looks, but like, considering that it's a goofy show, it doesn't look out of place in it. On top of that, the characters for the first half up until the Synchro arc are all really good. Yugioh grows as a really good character. He starts off as a very mopey, but still trying to be happy character. He's very clearly hiding his depression from his father disappearing and the constant like mockery of his family's lineage and name because of his father disappearing when he was supposed to show up for like a big tournament match. And he's clearly hiding that behind his smiles. And that's ultimately the end of this, like, that's ultimately the theme of the story, is that, you know, in the worst of our times, we should be smiling. And whenever we have fun, we should be smiling. Whenever we are doing, we should be smiling. Igao, the Japanese word for smiles, it was getting thrown around so much. At a certain point in the series, it became a meme in the community. People were hoping, and we actually almost did have a set name, Igao. It was super close. But no, that would be hilarious, but whatever. And it was that theme. It's a good theme. You know, there's a lot of other themes with this series, like you could argue that the characters who take dueling so seriously that it turns into a weapon of war. I'm not joking. That's like the main like theme. Like that's like the main thing that like the bad guys do, is they use dueling as a weapon of war. They force you into a duel. If you lose, you get carded, and by that I mean you turn into a card. Basically, this version, that their way to get around death and stuff. It's kind of funny that they're even incorporating censoring death into freaking the sub now, but I guess it works. It builds tension, and they don't reveal a way to uncard somebody until much later on in the series, but so it actually does feel like a death happens whenever somebody gets carded, so that was really cool. And, you know, seeing the clashing of ideals that dueling should be something for that people have fun and smile with, that versus, you know, dueling as a means of war and weapons kind of clashes, is a parallel to the clashing of ideals of having fun playing the actual Yu-Gi-Oh card game versus being a meta person who goes by the meta, plays whatever happens to be the best deck, and just switches from one deck to another whenever they get a chance in order to have the best chance of success. That parallel really helped me connect with Yugioh at times. Because at the time, I would get into huge arguments with people at my locals about this sometimes. Because, like, I would be playing Neos, and this was before the good Neo support came out, and people would be like, why are you doing that? It's garbage. Like, I remember around this time, whenever Arc V first started, I got into an argument with a meta player who told me that I should drop out of the tournament the instant he saw that I was playing a non-meta deck because I'm wasting the meta player's times. Sure enough, he destroyed me 2-0, but, I don't, that my end goal whenever I play this game is to have fun. And I totally kind of connected with Yugioh on that, because that's the point of the game. It's a game, And it's kind of fun to see the anime poke fun at, like, oh, it's the end of the world. Let's settle this discussion with card games. It kind of harkens back to the original series. Oh, I'm gonna destroy the world. Oh, you beat me in a card game. Okay, I'll stop my evil plans to destroy the world. It's just kind of funny that it's used like that, and they do kind of point that out, and that's good. I like that self-awareness at times. The series also has some darn good duels, like. Honestly, the Shun versus Sora duel, the first duel between these two, and when things actually start connecting and making sense with what's going on, was amazing. Heck, every freaking duel involving Shun was spectacular. I will never forget that first duel with him dueling against 3 other people with his Raid Raptors and OTKing them with Rise Falcon. It was beautiful, and it's the reason why I still try to find a reason to play Rise Falcon and Raid Raptors today. And it does have some other really tense moments, like, oh hey, Dennis, everything involving Dennis. He was such a well-written character. His build-up to his betrayal was fantastic. Like, oh my god. I mean, we all saw it coming after a certain point, but we didn't know when it would happen, and then they announced that, that Shun and Dennis are going to duel, and Shun was on Dennis's butt from pretty much the get-go after a certain point, and it was like, oh, it's the time, and sure enough, that was the big reveal in the middle of a duel in front of the whole huge stadium, and it was amazing. And the whole switch from being a fun, charismatic person, basically being from like in agreement with Yugioh in terms of what a duel should be, just going into a psychopathic maniac who wants to destroy everything with ancient gears. Why ancient gears were chosen as the bad guy's main weapon, I don't know, but hey, it works. It was great. I'm still kind of mad that they didn't just give him a Perform Age fusion. Heck, I'm still mad we never got any of the Perform Age stuff until, like, actually no, we still don't have any of it because Konami got scared to release it all since Perform Age is kind of led it into a Tier 0 deck, but that's beside the point. And the series was just so good. So good for the most part. And heck, the female cast was amazing too. Yuzu, Serena, the chick who played Gem Knights for like 10 episodes, she was relevant. They were all good. I freaking loved Yuzu. Serena is one of my favorite all-time Yu-Gi-Oh girls. She's amazing. And she was just absolutely awesome. Seeing her switch, like, be going like, oh, holy crap, it kind of reminded me of Zuko from Avatar, if that makes sense. That shift of realizing that the crazy dictators you have grown up living under, their ideology is not good, and it leads to a lot of pain and suffering, and that shift in her perspective was awesome. It led to her being a really good character and having a lot of just fun with her character. She had a lot of really good duels. I love seeing her go from being this super like stern, strict character and have some really fun moments from time to time. Heck, that whole joke sequence with her and Yugioh was great. It was awesome. And speaking of Yugioh, and I'm just kind of, I don't even know what I'm going to title this video, but I need to get my feelings on the series out. Speaking on Yugioh and the rest of the U-Boys, I gotta say, rewatching the first few episodes of the series, I love the, like, hints, the foreshadowing of everything that's going on. In the very first intro, you see Yugioh break up into 4 Yugiohs as they fly off. First intro hinting, it basically tells you that, oh, hey, there's 4 dimensions, there's 4 Yugiohs, they used to be 1, what could have happened? But no, nobody thought anything of it because it just looked cool, and it's like, oh, it's part of the intro. But no, it was actually foreshadowing basically the whole plot of the series. That was great. You know, and I loved that. I loved rewatching and being like, hey, that's hinting at something. Hey, that's hinting at something. Hey, why did I not catch that when I was watching this like 5 years ago or however long it's been? You know, and then heck, looking back onto like, it's also kind of nice to see like some of the changes and stuff. Like, I think Yuri was going to play Venoms at some point. That's why Starving Venom Dragon. But then he was changed because whenever he first shows up, his dragon, Starving Venom, clearly is a snake. Like, it's clearly a snake. And then they changed it into this weird Lovecraftian abomination kind of thing later on, and whenever he actually did get revealed. I mean, in the artwork, he still kind of looks snaky, but he's not a snake. He's a plant dragon thing, so there's that. But, you know, that was cool re-seeing, and all the other like allusions to everything that's going on, and how like, oh, everybody has actually false memories. This whole series, this like whole thing never like, no, it's all just broken up, and it was crazy, and it all fell apart. You know, like going back to Yuzu and Serena, and heck, all the female girls, what? all the female characters. They, like, you know, Yuzu and Serena especially, really good, well-written characters, and then they both get turned into damsels in distress, and like after a certain point, like Yuzu, the reason why we never got more freaking, I forgot the name, Melodious, that's the name. So I got my Melodious deck over here because I plan on doing a deck profile, and I could not remember the name of her deck for the life of me. The reason why we never got Melodious support until very recently, she stopped dueling. She got kidnapped and was a damsel in distress for like the whole last half of the series. Serena, mostly the same way, and then like whenever the girls did come back and they were brainwashed with that parasite thing, they didn't use their like. That could have been a perfect opportunity to play more Lunalight Serena, but no, you had to play a stupid plant, like insect fusion deck, that never saw most of its support printed. We got the parasitic fusion or whatever the heck it's called printed, and that was it. Same thing with Ruri. She got 2 duels. One, she played her Lyrilusk, and that was cool. I really liked the idea of Lyrilusk. We need more level 1 archetypes. And then the second duel, she played Insect Fusioner in the tag duel along with Serena, instead of playing her Lyrilusk. That's the reason why Lyrilusk is one of the more recent 3-card archetypes. Konami! And you know, the whole last bit of the series, okay? This series tries to do the same thing with what GX did, where, oh, the protagonist turns into the antagonist. And, you know, it did it a bit better than GX, I would argue, okay? GX implies that several months has passed after Jaden becomes the Supreme King, and we don't get to see much of his actions as the Supreme King. That's one of my biggest issues with GX, is that we don't get to see that protagonist be evil enough, like whenever he does turn into the antagonist. That could have really... That's such a good idea, turning the protagonist into the antagonist at a certain point. You know, really awesome idea. And ArcV does it better to an extent. Basically, it's revealed after a certain point that all 4 U-boys, Yuya, Yudo, and Yuri and Yugioh, they basically all the dimensions were 1 dimension at some point, and there was a guy named Zark there, and he became evil as time progressed, and he became more and more like just obsessed with combat and hurting his opponents and stuff, and then turned into a dragon dictator, the Supreme King, they even call it the same thing that what Jaden turned into. There's so many callbacks to the older series in Arc V, and I love it. With Zark turning into the Supreme King and everything, and then he gets smashed into 4 pieces, 4 fragments. Yuya, Yuto, Yugioh, Yuri, each one representing a different part of his personality and his past and everything. And whenever they all get fused together at the end and everything and turn into Zark again, that was awesome. I mean, I know some people did not like how long the Zark duel lasted, but it made sense. He was basically playing an unbeatable deck, and it was just great seeing everybody trying to get through his mind to get to Yuya, who was still somewhere in there, and it failed because he really wasn't. He got completely erased, and it wasn't until Deus Ex Machina that completely fixed him, because, oh hey, Rhea is really a girl and is the reincarnation of Rey, and that's just kind of weird. Like, what the hell? Basically, that's the whole last section of the series. What the hell? That's kind of weird, if not entirely weird. The whole last section after the defeat of Zark, you know, they instead of bringing back everybody like they should have. I mean, if you're gonna have a happy ending where everybody's okay, you know, bring back everybody. But no, all the U-boys are still confided into Yuya. All the U-girls are turned into Yuzu, and they all just kind of live happily ever after. After that point, with just a duel after duel after duel after duel, and I get it, they really wanted to go off of a bang after all the production issues and try and do really cool stuff and have that final rematch of Reiji and everything, and that was cool and a cool idea, but it was executed poorly. And then you throw on top of that the missed opportunities with bringing back past characters, okay? Jack Atlas, Crow, Kite, Alexis. It was really nice to see them all back, but, like, I don't feel like, other than Jack and maybe Crow to an extent, not all of them got, like, full-on, like, actual fleshed out. And also, they're not even the same characters. They use the same decks, or mostly the same decks, but they use different play styles or iterations of it. Or heck, in regards to Jack Atlas, his Red Dragon Archfiend directly references the final duel with Yusei, where, oh hey, the thing on Scarwright's arm, that's his arm is in a cast. Because in the final duel against Yusei in 5Ds between Jack and Yusei, the two Junk Warrior punches freaking Red Dragon Archfiend, and he punches back, and their hands clash, and he gets this, and well, because of a power up with Junk Warrior, Red Dragon Archfiend gets destroyed, and it's his right arm that gets hit. So they reference that with Scarwright having his right arm in a cast. That's so cool. And it's not the same Jack. They're not the same characters. Like, I mean, it's possible that they're like reincarnations of their characters in these dimensions from the original dimension. That's a possibility, but it doesn't work when you're trying to do that. I really wish that these were the same characters, because then we could continue their character building from those original series. See how they've been over the past few years. Have them grow up. Like, honestly, that's a big thing that I really want, is a sequel to the original series. You know, have you, like, Yu-Gi-Oh was what, in middle school in the original series? Have him in high school. Have him in college. And that would be cool. See where he is in life. It's kind of what Dark Side of Dimensions did, which I still haven't seen. Heck, I think, isn't the whole, like doesn't open with, like, Yugi trying to debate on which high school or college to go into? I don't know. That's what I've been hearing. I haven't seen Dark Side of Dimensions yet. But, yeah, I've been just thinking about it a lot, and I had to get it off of my mind, because this series, it had so much potential. Out of any of the Yu-Gi-Oh series, it had so much potential. The characters, the story, the build-up, the duels, started off so good, and there were still glimpses of the original goodness of the series later on. The tag duel with Yugioh and Kite versus the Tyler sisters was one of the most entertaining duels I've seen in a Yu-Gi-Oh series. You know, like, Yu-Gi-Oh's whole thing is dueling to make people smile. And, I'll be honest, because I was very grumpy with the series at this point, I wasn't having fun watching the duels. I was just watching it to see what happens next. And then Yugioh does this really convoluted combo that involves turning Dark Rebellion into a rocket and blowing it up into crazy fireworks to basically get around the freaking Tyler sisters' monster effects and actually beat them by burn damage. And it's really cool and was really fun. And you know what I realized? I was smiling. It made me happy. Because it was that weird ingenuity, that weird convoluted way of winning. It was fun, it was exciting, it was cool and visually appealing, and showed what the series used to be. Because really, at that point, that was the Xyz Dimension arc that lasted, what, 6 episodes? 12, I think, maybe? And this series just lost its way at a certain point, and that really bums me out, because if it wasn't for those production issues, we could have gotten one of the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh series ever. You know, if the build-up to this arc was done better, if the Xyz Dimension was given a little more time to flesh out, because I'm not joking, with that duel, it makes everybody so happy, they just stop wanting to take over the dimensions. Okay, because the entire, like, Xyz, like, the entire army of the Fusion Dimension saw that that were based in the Xyz Dimension, if I remember right, and they were all just like, "Whoa, this is what dueling is really like. Okay, I'm good now. I'm not gonna try and take over the dimensions. I'm gonna set aside my biases for non-fusion users and be good now." And that was a whole lot of bullcrap, you know? Like, the Tyler sisters, they're another group of characters that got dropped like a rock at some point. Like, you know, they had their, like, 4 episodes and then they're gone. There was an episode where we briefly see what's going on in the Standard Dimension after all the characters leave, and it seemed like they were going to build up to maybe, like, the Fusion Dimension invading while everybody's gone, and then maybe, like, the characters who stayed behind are going to get some duels. But no, it was 1 episode where we got to see what they were doing, and it was nothing. Like, it wasn't even a full episode, if I remember right. It was like half an episode. Like, it was so disappointing. There was so much potential and everything in this series, and they blew it. They blew it so bad. It hurts me. I hate having this, okay? Because this is only the first 2 DVDs, and a part of me wants to get rid of it, but a part of me wants to keep it and maybe collect the rest of the series. But at the same time, I have no intention of ever watching the series again. You know, at some point, I want to sit down and rewatch the entire original series. I have not seen the original Yu-Gi-Oh series all the way through, okay? I saw most of it as a kid, but I never saw the ending. I know what happens. People spoiled it for me. You know, it's been, what, 20 years since it came out? Same thing with GX. I mean, I think I saw all the way to, like, the last 2 or 3 episodes when I was a kid growing up. And even then, those weren't technically the last episodes. It was the end of Season 3. In 5Ds, I never made it past the Dark Signer arc as a kid. So, you know, all those series I want to go back and revisit. Zexal, not so much. I saw up until the V of Vector, and I was fine. You know, every other series I want to check out again at some point or other, except for Zexal. But this series, I never want to watch again in my life. It's a waste of time. It gets your hopes up thinking it's going to be something good, and then it smashes those hopes and dreams with style. No, not even style. There's no style, grace, or substance. Just disappointment. That was my rant about Arc V. I don't know what else to say at this point, honestly. This ended up being something entirely different than what I wanted it to be. I wanted to do an actual review of Arc V, but it just turned into a rant because this series disappointed me so much. I have no more words to say about it. If you guys like my stuff, rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. See y'all later. Peace out. Thank you all for watching the video. Have a great day. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. Rate, comment, and subscribe. And see y'all later.